Hey guys, how's it going? Nian here. So today I'm going to be talking about a question that I get asked on occasion, and it is, how do you know when you're having a good run? Like, how do you recognize that? And there's a few ways to know. There's a few points, but the quick and easy way, I guess I get that out of the way first, is any run that could have obliterated on stage 7, that you completed stage 7 and you can go into the celestial portal. That was a good run. Right now, that's just a good normal run. If you want to know if you're having a good long run, you can already tell for the most part on stage 7. So I guess, what do I mean by that? There's a few things here. The first point here is going to be crazy. Never heard this before, but it's time. All right. So the first point is time. The second is damage, and the third is mobility, not survivability. I consider mobility and survivability to be equal in this term. I would rather have more mobility than I do survivability for 3 or 4 loops, and then it kind of switches. But it's a whole different story. But so there's 3 points, but the first and second point you can pretty much just bundle together as time and damage, right? Because the more damage you have, the quicker you're going to be if you're playing normally. The less damage you have, the slower you're going to be, because eventually on like loop 2, when it starts spawning multiple bosses, you're going to be behind, right? So how do these like play into account for knowing if your run's good by the time you get to stage 7? So when you finish the teleporter on stage 7, and you're past the 32-minute mark, there's a couple things that go on, and you should be able to recognize if your run's falling into one of these two categories. So is your damage, like, do you have no items and your damage is just shit? Like, did it take you 36 or more minutes to finish stage 7 because you have no greens? Like, the greens you have are just garbage. You have literally no damage because you were missing too many items. You're having a bad run. Let's be honest. You can try to force it and continue going. That generally, and it can work. You can get lucky with loot on the next couple stages, but usually you crash and burn around stage 10 at that point, maybe even 11. So yeah, I wouldn't force it. I would highly recommend, if you finished stage 7 and it's over the 36-minute mark and your damage is shit, just obliterate. Forcing it is just going to the run's going to take you longer to get to the point where you die, because you might have good mobility or whatever, but your damage is literally just like you're a pea shooter. The next, I guess, like the other points to realize with the regards of time would be, did you finish the teleporter past the 32-minute mark, but your damage is great? And the only reason it took you so long is because you looted so much. I mean, at that point, your run's not shit. You're just taking a while to loot, and that's fine. Like, that happens. You can continue at that point. You're probably having a good run, right? But yeah, for the most part, generally how I play, if I'm past the 32-minute mark, I realize right away, like, this is a shitty run, right? I just obliterate. Now, the third point, or technically the second point, because we bundled time and damage together, would be like your mobility. So what that means is, do you have like literally no mobility options available to you at the time on stage 7 to choose from, like a multi-shop or something, or do you just have no mobility in general? And what I mean by that is, do you have wax coils, 1 or 2? Do you have, some goat hooves, some energy drinks? Do you have a hoppo feather? That's also key, depending on your character. If you answered no to like 2 of those 4 things, your mobility is probably really shit to begin with. So now you might have the damage. All right, this is where it comes into, it's your discretion if you want to continue the run. Because you have no mobility or it's very lacking, you can keep going, and I mean, you can find the items. So that's up to you. Generally, I keep going with those runs, and the runs where the mobility options are really shit, like we're just really behind in mobility, those runs usually we get gimped by the time we get to like stage 11, because the game just keeps giving me damage, and that's fine. Eventually, you're probably going to get hit, and when you get hit, it's going to hurt. And then, you're going to kind of panic, and then because you have like, you don't move that fast, every hit like gets compounded, and you just like mind game yourself and die. But yeah, those are the points. This was a short video. That's just those are the ways that I can tell if I'm having a good run, and it generally works, right? So just finish stage 7, and really, while you're doing the teleporter, try to really pick apart your run already at that point before it finishes. Like, would you continue? Should you continue? Sometimes the answer to that is no. No, you shouldn't continue. Just obliterate and start a new run. But a lot of the time, you're having a good run, you can probably get another loop or two, or maybe even longer than that out of it, right? But yeah, hopefully that kind of clears that question up. And yeah, I'll see you guys again tomorrow.